My name is Samantha Cockfield. I'm the head of road safety at the TAC, and it's my pleasure to be able to talk to you today about the PIARC Global Road Safety Knowledge Exchange. And today's session is management strategy and policies. Just a summary of what we're going to speak about today. We're going to start with a discussion about lower middle income countries' road safety management fundamentals. Then we're going to have a chat about road safety management issues, road safety management measures, and then some recommendations at the end about what we can do to manage road safety well as road safety professionals. Just some basic facts about what we know of road safety management in lower middle income countries. What we do know is that for lower middle income and all countries, that good institutional management provides the foundation for improving road safety. We do know that quite a few countries in low middle income areas do have an established lead agency to guide their national road safety efforts. It's about 66% in low and lower middle income countries and about 72% of upper middle income countries that fund their lead agency through their national budgets. A little bit higher with 81% of European and Central Asian low middle income countries being funded through their national budgets. Whereas in Middle Eastern and North African countries, we see that only 43% have some funding through their national budgets. One of the other areas that we know is really important to be successful in road safety is to have a strategy to guide your efforts. Again, quite variable in terms of what we see, with 63% of low and 75% of middle income countries truly having a national strategy. Again, we do see in South Asia that quite a high proportion actually have strategies, with a small percent, 13%, being fully funded and about 63% only being partially funded. In sub-Saharan Africa, we know that there's a fairly small percentage of countries that have a road safety strategy active. Just moving on to road safety management issues, we know there's some elements that are really important for a successful and effective lead road safety agency, and particularly one who needs to coordinate the preventative interventions. So the key elements that we talk about are having full-time expert staff who have the right legal powers, have permanent funding, good political support, and access to the relevant and needed data. Having road safety strategies with clear intermediate and final targets is really important. And as we've discussed, having dedicated funding for road safety is also incredibly important. Data, it's very difficult if you don't have good road crash and other complementary data sets to understand where crashes are happening and what is happening. And similarly, it's really important that you actually have some sort of investigations about what's going on and what the circumstances of crashes are at the actual site. We do know that some lower middle income countries have structural deficiencies that we can talk about. Actually having and achieving your road safety goals really does require appropriate management capacity. And in many low middle income countries, we see that the structure or the management structure suffers from one or more deficiencies. Lack of leadership is a major issue, as is lack of political priority in the country. Not having a priority for road safety makes it difficult to implement road safety well. Lack of funding can also be a major problem, as is lack of expertise within the actual organisational structure. All of these deficiencies weaken the institutional functions and ability to appropriately manage a country's road safety efforts. We can sort of see this playing out in terms of vulnerable road users. As we know, low middle income countries are increasingly motorising, and thus we're seeing vulnerable road users, pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists being put at particular risk as they have to mix more with vehicle crashes. And we see this happens a lot of the time because of poor planning of road networks, poor traffic controls and management, particularly at access points and intersections. We know that inadequate pedestrian facilities for paths, crossing points is a big problem. And the fact that we see in most jurisdictions, even where new roads are going in, a lack of priority being given to pedestrians and specific infrastructure built for them. Another issue that's really important in being able to do road safety well is having good, accurate crash and casualty data. Crashes are largely predictable and thus preventable. So if we've got good data, we really can do better. Data collection helps governments specifically by allowing them to effectively prioritise their funding, monitor the impact of their investments, and strengthen interagency collaboration and efficiency, because we're all working on the same problem. We know what the problem is, we know what the data says, and we're all working in the same direction to address the issues that we're aware of. Moving on to road safety management measures, here we have a really, I think, important infographic developed by the UN and the World Health Organization. It describes how we can all work towards a better road safety outcomes, no matter where we are in the world. It helps tell us what to do, how to do it, and who can do it in a very simple format. If you don't already have access to this infographic, get it printed out, put it on your wall. It's a very simple way of thinking how we can address road safety. What that infographic and what the Decade of Action does do is talks very much to the safe system approach to road safety. You're probably already aware that the Decade of Action commits to reducing deaths and serious injuries by at least 50% between 2021 and 2030. And it notes that the development of an effective road safety strategy starts with the safe system approach. It talks about system design and how the operation of the system must be forgiving of human error, and how we must deal with human behaviours in a proactive and integral way. It also talks about having efficient management systems, leadership bodies, and implementation of effective road safety programs can only be done with all of these elements. Just a little bit more about safe system principles. Safe system is very much about life being sacrosanct. And so the only goal we can possibly have is having nobody killed or injured on our roads anywhere in the world. But it also acknowledges that humans make mistakes. To err is to be human, and we must accommodate those mistakes when we're planning our road system and our road safety strategies. It also says that humans are vulnerable to the energy that's in a crash. And so when the energy hits our bodies, we are going to crumble, start to get injured, and in some circumstances die, unless we can be protected from those energy forces. It talks to road safety being a shared responsibility between all sectors of society, civil, corporate, government, everybody's involved. Everybody uses the roads. Everybody needs to be involved in making them safe. We must also, according to Safe System, be proactive in what we're doing in road safety, think ahead. And of course, redundancy in the long term is crucial. Here's another infographic that's really important if you haven't seen it. The triangle on the right, very famous management system framework that we can all use to help develop our management system for road safety and measure our performance. On the bottom of this triangle, we see institutional management functions. In the middle, we talk about the interventions that we can take to improve road safety. And on the top, we talk about the results and how we can measure our results. So just talking about this triangle and institutional management functions, we see that we can actually link all potential interventions, and we should link interventions with results. We need to analyse what can be done and achieved over time and set out performance management framework for the delivery of the interventions and plan for their outcome. This needs to be delivered primarily by government agencies with responsibility for road safety, but it needs to be done in partnership with civil society and business, and with the support of the research and professional community, because road safety is a shared responsibility. But we know that low middle income countries should exercise caution in establishing complex, targeted interventions and frameworks until they've got the data and the appropriate management capacity to undertake the work. Keep it simple is really the message. Some of the other things that we know that are important in terms of institutional management functions are coordination, the development and alignment of interventions, having good legislation and the appropriate legal instruments, the funding and the resources, particularly the human resources, to undertake the interventions that are in your strategy, promotion. We need to make sure that there's countrywide and sustained communication that emphasises what the key issues are, and that it's everybody's responsibility to support the delivery of key road safety interventions. We need to monitor, analyse and evaluate systematically all of our interventions and their outcomes. And of course, we need to continue to research, develop and transfer knowledge to make sure that we continue to improve and we continue to understand our problems in any country. Some of the intervention strategies that we know are important are talking about proactive safety engineering and design. Our engineers need to be safety conscious and understand safe system engineering principles. We need to encourage the safest modes and the safest routes when we're talking about transport. When we're talking about mixed road use, we need to make sure that we safely separate out our vulnerable road users, particularly pedestrians, from our vehicle traffic. Key to protecting the body from the energy and crash forces is managing speeds, primarily through speed limits, providing protective infrastructure for roadsides and for vehicles to ensure that they don't run off roads, run across and having head-on or running off road into pedestrians, etc. is really important, and is deterring dangerous behaviour and risky behaviour. The more we can comply with our road rules, we understand what the road rules are, and that we have visible police enforcement to make sure if people do the wrong thing, that they are stopped and encouraged to do the right thing. The safer and the quicker we will have safe roads. And of course, importantly, we can improve road safety very quickly by getting safer cars on the road. And that comes down to the vehicle standards and regulations that a country develops and implements. One of the most important things that we don't often talk about is ensuring that our post-crash care systems are fast and efficient, that medical help can get quickly to people who are injured, and that they can get care at good medical facilities such as hospitals. Last but not least, we do need to think about our results. We need to have targets and understand the desired safety performance that we require. And it needs to be endorsed by government at all levels, stakeholders and the community. We need to understand the final outcomes that we're looking for, the long-term goals, and what our short to medium-term targets are going to be in terms of fatalities, serious injuries, and also other social costs. Intermediate outcomes can very much help us understand how we are getting to our final outcome and are really good if we can find some to measure. And of course, physical deliverables, the outputs of our interventions that underpin the improvements we want to make are very important to measure along the way. Another very important element of road safety management is a good independent process for checking the safety of new or rehabilitated roads. Road safety audits undertaken systematically based on sound safety principles that look at the roads from the road user's point of view and don't solely rely on standards are highly effective in improving safety. And they make sure that our highway schemes operate as safely as practicable. They minimise the number of collisions and number of injuries and consider the safety for all road users. And importantly, they help improve awareness amongst engineers and other people who are involved in looking after the roads, so those who construct the roads and maintain the roads, about what good, safe roads look like. Road safety inspections, they do need to be systematic. They need to be on-site. You actually need to go and look at the road and how people are using it, and they need to be conducted by road safety experts. Identification of hazards and faults and deficiencies are much easier to see when you're on site and you've got experts there to help you. So this leads us to our recommendations. And to start with, we know that building awareness of the safe system and its applications are critical for lower middle income countries. We need to ensure that road safety management and leadership and expertise look at these following issues. We need to develop a strong lead agency, as we've already discussed. We need to develop a robust road safety data system. We need to have a robust set of local guidelines and regulations that help guide good road user behaviours, but also issues like licensing and access to the road. Ideally, you'd have university road safety programs at both bachelor and master level to help build the expertise you need in your country. Really good idea to connect to regional road safety observatories and the international network that they would give you access to. If there's an opportunity to develop a centre of excellence over time, another real opportunity for improving the expertise and capabilities and capacity of those working in road safety and transport. We can also look at some further recommendations. We know that a small percentage of roads account for a large percent of the deaths and serious injuries we see in any country. If we can identify these roads and routes and address them at program level, we know this is a really efficient way for countries with limited resources or that don't have good data to address road safety quickly and relatively simply. In terms of policy priorities, we know that we should be providing for pedestrians and motorcyclists the facilities which will improve their outcomes. We need to address incompatible speeds between road users, road users in areas of high incompatibility. Installing the right traffic management and safety infrastructure is incredibly important. Controlling vehicle access to and from roadsides, controlling land use developments, particularly those abutting arterial roads, is also important. The operation of heavy vehicles and the involvement of the heavy vehicle companies and organisations who own these vehicles can make a huge difference to the safety of a road network, because if something goes wrong with a heavy vehicle, of course, the outcomes are nearly always very severe. And there's always opportunities to improve compliance with road rules. This is coming to the end of the presentation, but just to talk a little bit about PIARC's job in boosting road safety in lower middle income countries. We know that management is a key contributing factor to road safety and an area where PIARC's Road Safety Technical Committee has produced a plethora of relevant reports. PIARC is engaging in promoting road safety all over the world and is really committed to actively supporting lower middle income countries. We know that the actions we've talked about today will help the success of the UN Decade of Action for Road Safety, and that this knowledge sharing campaign, which today's presentation is part of, is going to provide monthly updates through social media and the PIARC website in all areas essential for road safety. So stay tuned for more actions and events, and I will show you just on the next few pages some of the technical reports, etc., that are available to you on the PIARC website. Here we go. As you can see, there's lots of reports available, some more reports available, and thank you very much for your attention. Please feel free to email me if you'd like any further information, or just go to the PIARC website where there's lots of information. Follow PIARC on Twitter or LinkedIn. Thanks very much for your attention, and I hope to see you in my travels around the world. Thank you.